in Chef Richard's kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Well, Thanksgiving coming up very, very soon. In fact, tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Today is one of the days that I'm going to go ahead and do one of my Thanksgiving specials. I did one on gratin potatoes. I did one on cranberries and, escargot as an appetizer to be brought. Today's episode is going to be on dressing. And dressing and turkey have pretty much come on hand in hand since the Pilgrims first came down and had turkey with the Native Americans. And one of the things I do get asked periodically is, what's the difference between dressing and stuffing? Well, I don't think there is any one set definition. Really, what I've always considered the difference is stuffing is actually the what you push in the turkey and it cooks inside the cavity. The dressing is what's cooked outside. I remember when I was a kid, Mom used to always, call that. We had two plates of stuffing, and I asked, "What's the difference of them?" She says, "Well, this is the one that the turkey ate, and this is the one that the turkey didn't get a chance to eat." I think I was traumatized for life after that. Actually, I'm just kidding. It was a good enough reason. So today we're going to do stuffing. And what I want to do is I want to do a sourdough and sage stuffing. And if you go back to my episode on breadcrumbs and bread cubes, I show you how to go ahead and make these cubes that we're going to be using today. You just cut up the bread, go ahead and dry them out, and we're ready to go. And so let's go ahead, let's get started with our stuffing. What are we going to need? We're going to start out with 10 cups of dried bread cubes, a half pound of pork sausage. I'm using sage sausage since we're going to make a sage stuffing. About a half to a whole onion, probably a quarter to half cup of chopped parsley, 3/4 cup or a stick and a half of butter, 3 or 4 ribs of celery chopped, 1 good sized carrot peeled, and I just ran this against the grater. 2.5 cups of chicken stock, probably between a teaspoon and a tablespoon of fresh sage. Now, of course, we're going to use the salt and pepper, but since I'm using unsalted chicken stock, what I want to do is I want to make sure that we don't end up too salty in there that no one can go ahead and eat it. So, anyway, with that, let's get started, and let's first put in our pork sausage. I'm going to put in just a little bit of olive oil because I don't think that the sausage is releasing fat as it should. It's probably a little more leaner than I thought it was. anyway, this is just commercial pork breakfast sausage that you get out of the refrigerated section at the grocery store. They have the regular, they have the hot spicy, they have the sage. I'm using the sage. They also have a maple flavor that I've never tried. I probably should because it sounds pretty good. Now that our sausage is brown, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it back in the little jar. And while I was off screen, I went ahead and I washed it. Alright, now that our sausage is cooked, let's go ahead and let's throw our butter in, and let's go ahead and let it melt, and then we're going to go ahead and saute our vegetables. The butter's pretty well melted in here, and what I've gone ahead and what it's done is it's loosened up some of those burnt bits or brown bits from cooking the sausage on the bottom. That's called fond. And there's a lot of good flavor that's in that fond. And so you don't, unless it's absolutely burnt, and then you don't want to do anything with it. But if it's just browned on there, for heaven's sakes, don't waste it. All right, let's go ahead and put our onions. And our celery. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to saute these. And we're going to saute these pretty much only until the celery has softened and the onion turns translucent. Well, it's probably been about 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. And they're not quite there yet. The onions are actually almost translucent, but I'm going to turn the induction down just a little bit, and that's because the celery needs to soften a little bit more. But since it needs to soften a little more, it needs a little time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my carrots in. And that's basically, your regular carrot that I just went ahead and peeled and ran it through the shredder. And now we'll put it in here and we'll let it soften as well. I'm going to put the lid on just a little bit, see if we can keep some of this heat in there. And that will allow this to soften up a little bit quicker. Actually, that looks really good right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in my sage. And probably, part of my parsley here. And I want to use part of the parsley because I want, after it's all done and baked, I want to sprinkle it on as a garnish. Alright, now that everything's sauteed in well, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the sausage. Okay, now that everything's pretty well sauteed and cooked, now let's go ahead and let's see if it needs any salt or pepper. You can taste the vegetables, you can taste the sage, but it's a little flabby when it comes to the taste. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little salt and pepper in there. Remember, I was using low sodium chicken broth, so that's going to cut out quite a bit of the sodium that was in there anyway. So it may need to have just a little bit more salt added, and that's what we just did. It's better, but it's still not there. Okay, I just turned off the induction, and let's give it one last taste. I think we're probably here by now. Very good. You can taste the sausage, you can taste the sage in there, which are the two main flavors that I want you to taste. You can taste the butter, and you can get a little bit of the celery and the onion along in there. But by and large, it has a very, very good flavor. So I'm going to call it good right there. I went ahead and shut off the induction, and what I want to do now is I'm going to switch things around a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this and mix it in with our cubes, put it in our baking dish, and we're going to bake it. So I'll be right back. All right, our mixture here is cooled down a little bit, so let's go ahead, and I want to put this in to our bread cubes. And I want to see how things go, how, how liquid it gets. And depending on that, we're going to see how much chicken stock we need. So, all right. Okay, let's go ahead and mix this all in, because we want to make sure that the bread cubes here absorb all that butter and that goodness, that we took off the sausage. Now, okay, now as you can see, we've gotten everything mixed in together, but you can still see, the cubes are pretty hard and dry. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to pour about a cup of the chicken broth in. You'll notice that we've gotten our vegetables and butter in here, and the first cup or so of our chicken broth. And if you look, we'll find our cubes are still fairly, they're still fairly solid. Alright, now we put in 2.5 cups of chicken broth, and let's see how we're doing. The stuffing has a very, very, very good flavor, but to me it's still a little solid. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to get myself probably another 1/2 cup of chicken stock, and we're going to put that in. So I'll be right back. Don't go away. Okay, I've got a little more chicken stock, so let's go ahead. And I probably put the last 1.5 cups in. And remember, of the boxes that you get broth and stock in, it's usually 1 quart or 4 cups. And so I just put the rest of the broth in here, figure, well, what I don't use, I can always put back or use for something else. So. right, let's try it once more. It's absolutely delicious, but still a little solid, so. Good. It's still just a tad bit crunchy, but as it heats in the oven, that's going to go away. So let's go ahead, and I've got a 9 by 13 dish over here right now. So let's go ahead and put this in. My oven's been heating at 350, and then we'll go ahead and we'll bake this. All right. Now, I don't like it too smooth on here because it looks like, when you're trying to be a perfectionist. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it in the oven, and we're going to bake it for probably 30-35 minutes, something like that, at 350, and we're going to see what it looks like when it comes out. So let me go ahead and put this in the oven, and I'll set the timer for about 35 minutes. Okay, we'll see you in 35 minutes. Don't go far. I know you want to come back and see the rest. I want you to as well. So don't go away. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes. What I did was I went ahead and I covered the stuffing with foil, and I left it in there for 30 minutes so that it would steam and any of the rest of the bread cubes would get nice and tender. And then I went ahead and I pulled the foil off of it and let it sit for the last 10 minutes to kind of crisp up on the top. So let's go ahead. I pulled it out of the stove. So let me bring it over here and let's take a look. There. Doesn't this look good? So let's go ahead and let's try the last thing, and I want to do is give it a last taste. The stuffing is very fluffy, very moist. It has the flavors. I can taste the sausage. I can taste the I can taste the butter, I can taste the bread, I can taste, the vegetables in there. All in all, it's very, very good. So, all we have left to do is one thing, and that's just plate. Okay, and here we are. Take a last taste. Absolutely delicious. I think you'll really like this. So go ahead and give this a try. It's very, very moist, very tender, very fluffy. In my opinion, that gets an A+. But, remember, it's my cooking, so of course I'm going to give it an A+. But you'll really enjoy it. So, anyway, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to go ahead and try this recipe. I'll have the recipe up. I've got the ingredients up at the end of this video. Go ahead and give it a try. I think you'll be surprised how easy it is to make a wonderful, delicious stuffing. Anyway, let me know how you do. If you have problems, let me know that as well. Send me an email at chefrdmiller@att.net, and I'll go ahead and I'll see if I can't figure out what we did wrong. Otherwise, just put a comment down. I always love hearing back from my viewers. So, anyway, until next time, thank you again for joining me on this episode. Remember, take care. God bless. Remember that cooking should always, always be fun. And we'll see you next episode. Bye for now.